I'm going to be showing you the truth behind Angstrom Levy, the main antagonist of Invincible Season 2. I know, you're already aware he's a bad guy. The whole enlarged head and disfigured face and all, not to mention the feats of homicidal rage.
I won't rest until I've killed!
Yeah, but I'm not going to talk about that. I want to tell you about Angstrom Levy, the real Angstrom Levy, and his original plan, showing everybody that even before the accident, this little guy has always been evil. This particular version of Angstrom Levy was born on the Earth of the original Invincible, with the power to travel between dimensions. Think of him as America Chavez of the Invincible universe, except he didn't accidentally send his parents to another dimension. Now I know that's a low blow, but it was either that or I make a spot joke. But yeah, before his accident, Angstrom traveled to different universes and timelines, exploring their strengths, weaknesses, and everything they have to offer, which is cool. This gave Angstrom a grand plan to link up with the brains of all his alternate selves, taking in all their knowledge and using it to better the multiverse. I mean, on paper it works, right? He takes the knowledge of all individuals, the good advancements they've made in science and philosophy, and uses the knowledge to fix the world's problems. There's no way things can go wrong, right? But it did. As you've seen on episode 1 of Invincible Season 2, Angstrom enlisted the help of the Mauler twins to build a machine big enough to do what he wanted it to do. Yet, it didn't work out so well because the experiment attracted the likes of Cecil and the GDA, who entrusted Mark to stop the Maulers. Now wait, before we even go on, I just have to ask, how the hell is this guy still alive? I mean, we all saw Donald almost get his spine ripped out in Season 1, and we watched him trigger the explosion in hopes of destroying Omni-Man, only to blow himself to pieces. Omni-Man literally dusted this guy's ashes off of his hands, and yet in Season 2, we see a perfectly fine Donald having a chat with Cecil. Very curious. I mean, it could tie to the cybernetic nature of Donald in the comics, but who knows? Anyway, back to Angstrom. Mark flies in and tries to stop him from carrying out their experiment, and he would have succeeded if Angstrom didn't call in the help of Maulers from other dimensions, who overpowered Invincible and attempted to kill him. Angstrom, being hell-bent on not wanting blood on his hands, removes the helmet he wasn't supposed to remove, and boom, blows up the warehouse. This resulted in a grotesque appearance and his hatred for Invincible, which stems from the memories and hatreds of the other selves who lost their world to Mark and his father. When I tell you that this grudge led Angstrom to make Invincible's life a living hell, I'm not joking. Spoiler alert if you haven't read the comics. This dude sent alternate versions of Invincible after him and almost destroyed Earth. He broke Debbie's arm and mistreated his brother Oliver. He trapped Mark in an alternate dimension more than once, and that's barely scratching the surface. He almost killed Adam Eve, faked his own death, caused genocides and mass murders across different universes. He even stalked the living daylight out of Mark. Yeah, Angstrom did all that. He even sends Mark to other superhero universes, including the Marvel and DC universes, where Mark meets up with some characters like Wolverine, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, and a host of other heroes. The funny thing is, he starts making fun of them about their names, calling Wolverine Clawman. Really annoying, Mark. I wonder if we're gonna get to see this season. But as far as Angstrom, he may not look like it now, but coupled with his brain and dimensional travel abilities, he also gets increased strength and endurance. After being treated by an elite race of technicians known as the Technicians.
Huh. That's just lazy writing.
By the way, I can't believe Robert Kirkman had the right to make fun of the names in Marvel when the names in his universe are equally bad. And if you are enjoying this video, then please be sure to hit the like button and of course the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our videos. Angstrom Levy went through great lengths to vanquish Invincible, and I hope we get to see that soon. At the very least, it seems that Season 2 is going to adapt the Invincible War arc. But we're not going to talk about that. We're actually going to talk about Angstrom's original plan. You know, the plan to use all the knowledge to better each world. I honestly think Angstrom's plan was doomed from the start, and I think Angstrom is the biggest coward in the Invincible universe. Let me explain. First of all, this guy was born with the ability to travel dimensions and potentially wants to help people. Yet, no one's ever heard of him. I mean, how could someone so powerful and someone so benevolent be living in a world where supervillains are constantly on a rampage, with kaijus and monsters on a rave, and renegade superheroes destroying trains with people in it, and yet he's done nothing to help. And he says he's a pacifist who doesn't like to see people get hurt and only uses his powers for good. Please, it's exactly as the old saying goes. With great power comes great responsibility. I can't imagine how many number of times Cecil could have used his help fighting global threats and catastrophes, how many lives Angstrom could have saved, and how many people he could have helped. Instead, all he did was relax and hide. Where was he during the Battle of the Flaxlands? Those guys showed up 3 times, killing tons of people, and yet Angstrom did nothing. He was nowhere to be seen. We could have used his help when the game faced Machine Head. As a person of color, he should have understood the struggles of people under Machine Head's control, and he could have helped. But where was Angstrom? Nah, he was unavailable. Too busy concocting a somewhat ridiculous plan of multiversal domination, and I'll tell you why it's ridiculous. Angstrom's plan to use the knowledge from other universes to better each world was doomed to fail, because it all predicted on the fact that he wanted to make himself a god. Quite literally, if his original plan had succeeded, we would have had a near omniscient being with the power to travel multiverses. He would have been unstoppable. Angstrom sees himself as a savior figure. He literally wants to be a conduit of all knowledge in the multiverse. And for a guy who's unwilling to shed blood to achieve his goals, he's okay with lying to get what he wants. I mean, he literally lied to the Maulers when he said that they were the only ones that could help, whereas he's been working with the Maulers from all around the multiverse. For Angstrom, the only place he draws the line is when it comes to taking a life. But just because he's unwilling to do that doesn't mean he's a good guy. Angstrom literally traveled the multiverse and saw despicable things happening to people everywhere. I mean, the very first scene of season 2 showed a world where Omni-Man and Invincible took over and basically went on a rampage killing people. And for someone who wants to save billions and even trillions of lives, he was okay letting Invincible and Omni-Man kill Rudy Connors, the Immortal. He even let Mark paralyze Adam Eve. The only time he stepped in is when Omni-Man was about to kill his variant. Alternate version of himself. Sorry guys, I forgot, this isn't the MCU. Omni-Man and Invincible announced they were going to kill everyone in the room for siding with the heroes, and the only person Angstrom saved was himself. That's why he stepped in, leaving everyone else to die, just so he can save his own skin. And I'm supposed to believe that this guy is benevolent, that this guy wants to save lives, and wants to build a utopia without bloodshed? I mean, since he brought up philosophy, what do the great philosophers have to say about this? Let's take Immanuel Kant, for example, who proposed the concept of categorical imperative, which basically states that humans have the duty to operate in a way that upholds the universe principles. And one of those universal principles is to help someone when you see them in danger. For someone who is concerned about the ethical qualms of working with the Maulers, he seems to have discarded the basic Kantian ethics as well when you see that their lives are in risk, especially when it is of no danger to you. Angstrom can create portals without even being in the dimension. We saw this happen with the Maulers when he opened an underground bunker for them, easily with no danger to himself. The truth is, before Angstrom Levy became a full-fledged villain, he was a power-hungry narcissist who was willing to say anything to get what he wanted. He is an unquestionable coward who is really only interested in exalting himself and is okay with leaving millions of people dead. He has deluded himself into thinking that he can be a god who creates change in the universe, when the truth is he could have been making changes. He could have been helping people, building his supposed utopia long before his encounter with the Maulers or Invincible. Yet, he never did anything. And look where his supposed plan led him to at the end of the day. Honestly, Angstrom Levy's original plan reminds me of another morally questionable individual with multiversal capabilities, Kang the Conqueror. Because at the end of this all he basically wanted to do was to conquer. He'll gather valuable knowledge from the multiverse, transfer it to his brain, and then he'll conquer his Earth. Basically shape it into his own image, and then he'll move to other universes doing the same thing. If that's not Kang, I don't know who is. Thankfully, his plan was thwarted and his form is distorted to show what Angstrom really looks like on the inside. A crazed genius who is hell-bent on having his way and willing to destroy anyone who gets in that way. Angstrom Levy has always been evil. That much is clear. And if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. Do you think his actions are justified, or do you think he's a narcissistic coward just like I do? Be sure to hit the like button and check out our other videos on Invincible. And as always, thanks for kicking it with Keeping It Comic.